You'll notice in the bulletin a rather ironic typo. I am resolved is missing a letter and therefore not resolved at all.
Revolved.
I have a, Corey was saying, I have an Arminian issue with my C drive. Occasionally I'll save a document and then reopen it and it's not the way I had saved it. It goes back to the version prior to my saving it. So my C drive is going through a scan right now to find out if I can find that particularly Arminian issue.
Your C drive is having an existential crisis.
Existentialist, yes.
Like you there are today.
I looked into existentialism, but there was nothing in it for me, so. I actually said that to a guy at SUNY Binghamton, and he laughed for like 5 minutes. He says, "That is ridiculous." I said, "You're absolutely right." We're going to be in the book letter of James. For sure this week.
No, really, yeah.
Last week I got
Dave Trapp.
Dave Tract. As the singer in the one band I'm in says, we get Dave Tract. She comes up with a number of Davisms. Davism is one of them. A predilection for certain words that a lot of people don't normally use on occasion. Like I had intended on going to the grocery store. I'll say something like, ostensibly I was going to the grocery store. But she says I occasionally get Davish. We were doing a song which sounded like something you hear on an elevator. And so I changed a couple of things in it. And I said I changed a couple of the chords to de-elevatorize it. So. I've got a praise, a miracle. I was all ready to perform a funeral last week. I did not. And it's looking more and more like that might take a while. So I'm very happy about that.
He's hanging in there still.
I'll tell you what, I have remarked about Anne Bertha a number of times, but what a magnificent battleship of a woman she is. This woman just doesn't know how to quit. It's amazing. Everybody, I mean,
You don't want to quit.
there are, I know at Wilson Hospital there are certain physicians up there, right, well, for the past week that have been going like this. I don't understand it. Nobody really does. Things weren't looking real good Monday. I had a rehearsal I had to cancel out of. And there was a number of people, and it looked really gloom and doom time, and the Lord just turned things around, and she's out of the hospital. She's up at the Absolute place up in Endicott. Just amazing, just absolutely amazing. The woman doesn't, she just fights, you know? And so we'll see how it goes, minute by minute. But you know what? That's really where we are anyway. That's really where we are anyway. I've got prayer requests for my cousin Kevin. One, that he absolutely gets to know the Lord. Two, that his health improves. He's 5 years older than me. He's 65, but he's had 5 major surgeries in the last 5 years. Lots of different problems. Right now, he's got a heart that's acting up. So I'm asking prayer for Kevin. But that he gets to know the Lord before he moves on down the road, like he might say. And I'm certain there's a number of people in your lives that you're praying for and asking the Lord's light to shine on. speaking about the Father of lights in James. And I just looked this up too. One of these years, I'm going to get everything all together. It's going to be great. Let's see.
We'll have to celebrate it when you do.
You want to find it?
Now, when you get all things together. And you know where they all are at one time.
Well,
Yeah, it would be.
part of the issue too is that there's pages falling out of my Bible.
The
Entire chunks. Oh, come on. I know you're here somewhere. There we go. I just kind of snapped them back in. There's a section that goes from James to half of 1 Peter that fell out some.
Are you using my book?
I got this from Julie.
Are you using my book?
No.
Okay, because that same section
Yeah, the same section.
is on my bedside.
Yes.
Only that little piece of the Bible.
We have Bibles that fall apart in my house. That's because we read them. And it's okay. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into various trials, knowing this, that the testing of your faith works patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, lacking nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted, but the rich in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but it withereth the grass, and its flower falleth, and the grace of the fashion of it perishes. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. Blessed is the man that endures temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil. Neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted, and when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed, then, when lust hath conceived, it brings forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, brings forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Of his own will begot he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. That's a big chunk of stuff. Big chunk of stuff. James is not ordering us. He's strongly suggesting, right? And he's making a couple of points. Interestingly, and I have got a number of things that I question about why he's written certain things. Of course, generally these epistles were written to people after certain information was passed back and forth. In other words, James got word that some people were having issues regarding certain things, and he would write the letter to try and correct. And that was essentially their jobs when they would write the letters. For example, Paul is stuck in prison any number of times in any number of prisons, and he's getting word about certain churches and activities. And famously, he is writing. The Spirit has given Paul a lot of things to say regarding this stuff. Sometimes Paul's personality would poke through and we get Paul. We get Paul. Here we get James. And James seems to be a little bit more, what, nicer than Paul, let's say? More agreeable, maybe? But he's still kind of like warning us. There's a number of warnings in Scripture, and this is a number of things that he warns about. First of all, and I find this very, even though it's nicely put, nicely said, I find this really, really difficult to do. Verse 2. Anybody else? My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. No, thank you. Easier said than done, Jim. Right? Count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing this, that the testing of your faith works patience.
No patience, yeah.
And I want patience right now.
Yeah.
And I want as much as I can possibly handle right now. And I don't want anything to stop it. Yes, Bill?
Romans 5:3b, tribulation worketh patience.
Right.
Are you saying that Paul agrees with James?
Paul agrees with James.
James agrees with Paul.
James agrees with Paul. It's all good. These guys are friends, right? There's never been any argument between any of the disciples. Yeah, sure. What works patience? Why do you need patience?
Because you're in something that.
Because something is testing you. You need to wait, all right? I want something right now. You need to wait. Well, we have to learn how to wait. Wait. Yeah. Wait. It's testing. It's a trial. We're supposed to count this as joy. Oh, good. I have to work patience. This is great. I can hardly wait. Right? How ironic is that? I can't hardly wait till I get enough patience. All types of various tests. I'm certain the vast majority of us have sat by a hospital bed for more than an hour, just holding somebody's hand. Did it a lot over the last week. And it's a weird time, because sometimes as you sit there at the hospital and you're holding the person's hand who's laying in the bed, it's almost as if you leave your body, isn't it? Have you ever felt that? It's almost as if you leave the room, but you're still sitting there. There's nothing else to do. And sometimes the Lord gives us a blessing where He has our brain relax, and we just are there with this person. We may not even be thinking anything. I mean, most of the time we'll go through the movie in our head, right? The memories, all the different things we did with this person, all the prayers that we're saying regarding this person. We hope this, we hope that. We might actually be going through some of the stuff that the doctors were saying, that the nursing staff has been saying, thinking about that, thinking about what is life going to be like without this person. How, if it's with a kid after an accident, how can we avoid this accident again? We think a lot of stuff, but sometimes you just sit there. And that's a real odd piece, isn't it? It's a real odd piece. And I don't know if any of you have ever recognized it before in that. I don't know if that's something that, pastors are liable to run into more often than not, than some other folks. Because we have the time to be there as long as we need. And most people you know, they have other jobs and they can't take the time to do that, which is unfortunate. But there's that moment when I'm sitting there waiting for whatever comes next. And it's like I'm a clean slate. And I feel very close to God at those times, because nothing else is bugging in. And that's a kind of joy. That's a kind of joy, that quiet. That moment when the turbulence in your head kind of just disappears for a while. That's really joyous. I mean, not, yeah, that's great. It's not happy, but it is joy. It is peace. And peace is joy. So there's that. But while we're going through the trial, we're going through the real hard part of it, that's not fun. That's not a joy. How are we supposed to react? Thank you for this mess, God. We become very Job-like. We're human, we do it. James knows this. You know, he's just telling us again, remember, there's joy and peace. Is the trial you're going through worth your peace? Is it worth the cost of not having peace about it? Something to think about the next time you have a trial. Something to think about the next time something comes up that really just confounds you, or even just inconveniences you. Maybe sometimes you need to take the problem by the hand and just sit there. Sit there with the Lord and let Him give you the peace that's real joy. Maybe it's that type of joy that's being spoken of here. Can you meet a problem head first, absolutely relaxed and at peace? Is that possible? Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. It might sound kind of weird coming from a pastor, but there's been a great number of times where there have been, well, let's see, where I have in the past been involved with physical altercations, and it looks like this is going to get grisly and ugly, but there's a peace that comes over you, came over me, and I knew exactly what to do. And it was never really a big deal at all. I mean, a person comes at you with a knife, that could be scary, or you trust, and everything is fine. And somehow the knife goes away and the other guy goes down. But I've had those moments too, right in the middle of a trial. I was thinking seriously about this. What all trials have I been through? A lot. I've been through other people's trials. My personality is such that I want to come in and fight the bad guy and take charge.
Amen.
No, I'm not in charge. I need to learn the patience, the perfection, to understand that. I'm not in charge. Verse 4, let patience have her perfect work. I like that he refers to patience as her. It's kind of neat. What do they call wisdom? Her. Lady wisdom. Isn't that interesting? So wisdom and patience are apparently female. Why do you think that is? I don't know.
Because it doesn't require fists of lions.
Yes. It doesn't require roarings of lions. The difference between my mother and my father in certain things. My mother would do any number of things. My dad usually just held up and belted her. You know, that's the way it was. Wisdom. Lady wisdom. Let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, lacking nothing. What does that mean, lacking nothing? It almost sounds like what is the term, an oxymoron? How can you lack nothing?
If you have everything, you lack nothing.
There's no thing you were lacking.
There's no thing that you are lacking. You have it all. You have it all, entire. Look at the words. Let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, lacking nothing, wanting nothing. Well, how often are we actually there? Almost 0% of the time we're there. We need all the time, don't we? We think we need. We think we need. We don't take the time to just relax. When I'm quiet for an unusually long period of time up here, you guys look at me and you start going like this. Well, get on with it.
Yeah.
Well, what if I'm not led to? See, I like TV programs that make you think. Too many people like TV programs and they use them as chewing gum for the brain. Shut the brain off and watch the movie, watch the TV show. Don't think about it. We don't like to think about things. We really don't. It bothers us. It troubles us. Because for one thing, we have our opinions, and by God, that's good enough a lot of the time. Well, you know what? It's never good enough. Ever. We should always be sifting what we think and our opinions through God's Word, through the urgings of the Spirit. How many times can we justify sin and bad actions?
A lot.
Because we think we're right about something. We like to cover a lot of problems with a big blanket. A big blanket just takes care of everything. No, it doesn't.
It's still there.
Kathleen and I have big blankets. I don't like my feet covered. She has to tuck in her side of the bed, under the mattress. Drives me insane. But I have peace with it because I just untuck my side. And the two of us can coexist on the mattress. Her feet tucked in, my feet hanging out. No problem. It was a problem at the beginning. What are you doing tucking my side of the bed? We're so dumb. We're so crazy. We don't like to let God change our minds. We don't. Entire with Him. Perfect with Him. We're never perfect without Him.
Amen.
We can't do anything perfect without His urgings. Now, occasionally we can do stuff that's pretty good or works out fine. Anything good about me is from Him. Anything good. Because left to my own devices, I am just terrible. And you know what? So are you. Well, I'm not. I hear like a Monty Python thing going on. No, I'm usually pretty good. My cousin thinks that. I'm usually pretty good. I think I'm going to be okay. You're a nice guy, yeah, you do some good stuff, but you know what? There's a problem. You don't have peace. You don't know somebody that can bring you peace. Let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, requiring nothing, wanting nothing. Well, in a couple hours I'm going to get hungry and my stomach's going to start to growl. But I'm okay with that as long as I got coffee, you know. We want. We think we want. There's plenty of times when we find out that we don't really need what we want. Plenty of times where we find out you can do without this or that. Really, you can. The hospital one time with my mother and my grandmother, my dad's mom, and she had the rosary out, and she's going through the rosary and everything like that. The next time up to the hospital, we were going to be praying for this person, and my grandma was beside herself, a nervous wreck. I can't pray. Why not? I don't have my rosary. You don't need it to pray. I have to have it. I was like, what? No, you don't. We're just going to pray. And she got up and walked out of the room. You don't pray without the rosary, and that's that. Well, I'm sorry, that's dumb, Grandma. And it is. What do you need to pray? You don't even need a tongue, do you? You don't need a mouth to pray.
You need a brain.
That helps. To start, you don't need to be on your knees to pray. You don't need to go into a closet. You pray right where you're at. You don't need anything. It's a perfect point of time. And especially if you're asking for the peace that is actual joy during a time of trial. You don't need anything to talk to God, to pray to Him. You don't need to follow the Lord's Prayer exactly. It's a good index. It's a good outline. But you don't need to sit there verbatim and go through the Lord's Prayer, which it's actually not. It's the Lord's outline of a prayer. There are a lot of things we think that are just kind of dumb. Well, really dumb. And they get in the way of us being made entire and perfect. And they get in the way of letting patience have her perfect work in us. We don't recognize it when we do it. See, that's part of the problem. And sometimes the thing comes up and a friend mentions something, you know, this happened to me the other day, and you go, let me mull that over for myself. Let me filter that through what the Bible is telling me, what I've, read, and what God's teaching me. I suppose a lot of people have been hearing about people getting bumped off of flights, airplanes and stuff like that. United, famously, this doctor that got tossed off a flight, this family that got tossed off of a flight from Delta. And on Facebook, there's a bunch of jokes saying, I would love to see somebody try to remove you from your flight to Dublin. And I kind of, Steve Quinlivan, actually, he wrote me and says, I'd love to see somebody try to move you off of a flight to Dublin. And I wrote back to him, I said, you know what, Steve? I'd be fine with it. If somebody needed it bad enough, okay, no problem. Don't you have like a hotel or something in Dublin that you? Yeah, but I'm certain a call would take care of that. And if not, perhaps there's some compensation made by the airline. Who knows? I don't know. I don't have to fight anybody for my seat. Seriously. I mean, if the seat was going to, I don't care. Maybe it's a member of the armed services trying to get home. Yes, please have my seat. I'm moving voluntarily. I mean, yeah, it's unethical that the airlines overbook. Absolutely unethical.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's crazy, it's unethical, but you know what? I don't have to worry about it. I don't. I don't have to get angry about it. I don't care what Facebook says. I don't care what the world tells me. That's the issue. What is the world screaming in your mind, in your ears, so that you don't get to a point where you can do this? How many of your friends are telling you bad information, Job, regarding God's will for you at this moment?
God's got it all planned anyway.
Well, so what? We don't know what it is.
I know.
And that's the problem.
For you, he worked it out.
Yeah, but the problem is we don't know what his plan is. And there have been times when his plan sucks. I'm sorry. I don't like his plan a lot of the time. I'm at war with his plan most of the time because he takes people I love with him. And I'm going to go back to last week. That's my problem. That's my sinful flesh. That's my issue. And the world is screaming to me, I have a right to that thought. You don't. It's stupid. Stop it. I know what things hurt me. I should stay away from them. I know eating a pound and a half of spaghetti at 3 o'clock in the morning is not a real good idea. Does it stop me? Sometimes no. Isn't that dumb? What's God's plan for me? He gave me a body and I should be a good steward of it. Yeah, I get it. Well, don't eat a pound and a half of spaghetti at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Use your think stuff.
Use your think stuff, like my father would say. That was another hilarious point. He got so frustrated at us kids one time. He's like, David! And I don't even think it was aimed at me. I think it was aimed at my brother John. But you guys, you just don't use your think stuff. He was really angry. And my brother Michael, my brother John, and I were at the table, and we started laughing. Which back, had he been 10 years younger, might have been very disastrous for all of us. But it was just, we had him so frustrated, he couldn't even say the word brain. He couldn't think of the word brain. You don't use your brain. You don't use and he's pointing at his head, your think stuff. Could he have asked the Lord for patience at that point and not been so frustrated? Absolutely. But we don't do that. Because we don't use our think stuff. We don't use our Bible stuff, our teaching, our instruction. We don't use it. And we need to. Because it works in us a peace and a joy that is perfect and allows his will to be accepted by you and me, no matter what it is. This is not really suggesting that the next time you have a trial, you should be going, oh boy, this is great. It's a different kind of joy, a peace. On Facebook, I am part of a comic book page. Old Guys Who Like Old Comics, it's called. Recently, there's been a series about the creator of the character Batman. For years and years and years, a lot of people thought there was one guy who basically did all of it. Well, that's not true. In fact, stuff has come up that suggests that this one guy, who a lot of people thought created that character, had very little to do with him at all. And another guy is now being understood to have done an awful lot more in the creation and the selling and the popularity of this character. And I got to thinking about this other guy who was an alcoholic, which is why he didn't get the credit, pretty much. And a number of other artists that I really admired who have had alcohol troubles. And I posted on this Facebook page, Old Guys That Like Old Comics, with a picture that this alcoholic guy did after he got sober for 2 years and then he died. which was so sad. And I was thinking, I said, I really mourn the work that might have come from these guys when they got sober and then died shortly after that. And at present, and I said, this is a serious note, as I have hit 25 years of sobriety this year, St. Patrick's Day, which is only God's plan right there. That's really funny. But there's peace and there's joy. Yeah, there's a little bit of tribulation here and there when I get too edgy. And I feel like I'd really like to get drunk. I really would. I let his peace and his joy and his patience come into me and serve the need for me not to do this drinking anymore. I posted on this page and I got like 374 likes, and it has opened the door to other guys who have been struggling. One guy is 4 months sober. And it's simply because we both like comic books that we're even attached, but this is God working this out. And I've talked to the guy left and right the last couple of weeks. That's perfect. I don't even know the guy. He doesn't know me. We wouldn't know each other to see each other on the street. But because God arranged it, I now have another brother I know that I need to pray for. Because he struggles. He struggles mightily. And he needs to know the Lord's joy during this tribulation. Let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, and we all lack wisdom, folks, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. There was a time when I didn't like to ask God for things, small things. Kathy could tell you. And that's penny ante stuff. God's too busy, with other important stuff. No, you are important to God, and I had to learn that. And any little thing, I can't find my car keys. Well, I'm going to pray to God to help me find my car keys. And somebody somewhere thinks, well, that's really dumb. Well, no, it's not dumb. I lost my car keys. What happens? You start getting nervous, right?
Right.
Okay, you start getting maybe a little frantic. Well, then, no. It's a trial. Look to God and ask to God for that joy, that peace that you can have, that he will give you during this trial. The worst thing that can happen to any one of us is what? All I can think of is one thing.
To be separate.
Suddenly you die.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're killed, you're shot, you're whatever. Something ends your life. What happens next?
You know Christ, you're with him.
If you know Christ, you're with him. Cool.
I don't think it's the worst thing.
I don't either.
It's not the worst thing.
Worst thing is to be separated from him.
Exactly.
I have a couple of fears that are worse than death. I don't, to have a stroke and be a vegetable. To me, that would be the absolute worst thing in the world.
Yes.
What would I
But you
do
wouldn't
then?
know it.
But
What could I do then?
Well, you might know it.
it happened to your mother and she survived.
Well,
It did. And then she died.
it didn't turn her into a vegetable, but I mean to the point where you can't do anything. To me, that's so much worse than that.
That's it.
There's a number of things where the worst thing that can happen to you.
Well,
Think about what that is. And now, think about what God can do to bring you through that.
you did. Think about it.
Does it make it a little less scary? My hope is that it does. James' hope is that it does. The worst thing you can think of. Can God get you through it? Well, the answer is yes. Can he give you peace with it? The answer is yes. Can he give you victory through it? The answer is yes. It might not look like victory to the world, but he's already won the big victory for you. So that the worst thing that you can possibly think of happening becomes very small. This is what people are looking to us for. If they see a person who freaks out over every little thing, like so many of the Facebook posts, I'm done with it. There's so much drama in people's lives, it makes me want to smack them. That's my own dumb thing. We have a victory that the world doesn't recognize. We have a victory that the world doesn't even think is real. We're not of the world anymore. We are in it. And people are drowning left and right. And they're looking at us. Because we say, we know Christ. Homework. James chapter 1, verses 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's your homework. Heavenly Father, help me do my homework. Help me do it every day. Help me not put it off. Help me be resolved to do it. So look in your word for the reminders to get me through the day, so that I'm no longer the dumb, fleshly thing that I am, but the more perfected thing, the more perfected spiritual thing that you want me to be in this world, so that your light shines to those who need to see it. Help me not be so stupid. As I go through the next trial, help me ask you for the peace I need, the joy that I need, to get through it and to show your light through it. And that's a big task, Father, because I'm ornery and I'm stiff-necked, just like Pharaoh was, just like your children Israel were, just like we all are. Help us get better. Father, I ask this, and I thank you so for your Son and the Spirit who gets us through all these things. I ask it in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.